Thank you for your very wonderful explanation of the importance of the substance of the kirtan in addition to the form of the kirtan. And I wonder if you'd just like to sum this up for our audience.
Who's the audience? Krishna? I don't remember. Krishna's the audience. Krishna in everyone's heart is the audience. So we can sum it up in this way, I think, that we can hardly expect that everyone who tries to perform Sankirtan will be pure, very pure. We can hardly expect that the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, that the majority of the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement will be chanting Shuddhanam. Someone might think that my ranting and raving about the importance of chanting Shuddhanam would indicate that I'm not, let's say, giving any credit to anyone who's not chanting Shuddhanam but trying their best to perform Sankirtan. It's not exactly like that, although we should understand clearly Prabhupada's statement that purity is the force. So purity is essential. Even in our humble attempt, even when we're not chanting Shuddhanam, even when we're on the clearing stage of chanting, we should at least be on the clearing stage of chanting. Whether we do it nicely with the instruments or nicely having musical background, musical upbringing in our life, or if we're not so musically capable, it's not a very important issue ultimately. What is important is that you do it. As Narottam Das Thakur says, don't think that this chanting and dancing will not lead to the desired goal. It will. But I add one more statement. If you do it. If you do it, it will. Don't think this chanting and dancing will not lead to the desired goal. What is the goal? Krishna Prema. Chanting and dancing for the purpose of pleasing Lord Chaitanya. You can hardly expect to please Krishna in this age of Kali without pleasing Lord Chaitanya. So primarily our chanting and dancing is for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Krishna comes later. But it should come to that point where we're endeavoring to please Krishna with our chanting. Chanting Radha's name for the satisfaction of Krishna and chanting Krishna's name for the satisfaction of Radha. That is there and is inescapable and indispensable, simultaneously one and different from our effort to satisfy Lord Chaitanya. But the chanting and dancing will lead to the desired goal if you do it. If we think that there's every reason in the world why we really don't have to perform Sankirtan as a major aspect of our spiritual life, that is something that you do on the side, maybe it's not so necessary. After all, everyone has to eat, you know. And after all, we have our huge establishments with our outrageous overhead expenditures to agonize about. So we really don't have time to do something like chant Hare Krishna, chanting and dancing. That's, you can say, some kind of recreation that maybe we can entertain the idea of time to time. Not very important. More important is to bring home that money. As if our Sankirtan performances will not suffice for, satisfying all of our needs. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has written that those who think that all wants, all exigencies, all needs cannot be fulfilled simply by performing Nam Sankirtan, to the extent that one disbelieves that, to that extent one is atheistical. And he goes further to say that the sole measure of one's belief in God will be the extent that we give help to the performance of Nam Sankirtan. So, if we want to get the benefit of performing Nam Sankirtan, you don't get Nam Sankirtan Ruchi by not performing Nam Sankirtan. You get Nam Sankirtan Ruchi by prolonged engagement in the performance of Nam Sankirtan. It's not a fly-by-night affair, nor can we expect it to be an overnight accomplishment to come to the platform of Shuddhanam Ruchi. You don't get Shuddhanam Ruchi without chanting Shuddhanam. Our pure devotional service actually doesn't even begin until we're chanting Shuddhanam Ruchi. We can hardly call it, even you can go to the point of saying that pure devotional service doesn't actually begin until we're on the bhava platform, above the influence of the three modes of material nature. Sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That means at the stage of bhava, according to Srila Prabhupada. Then's when real spontaneous devotional service begins, and that is real devotional service. That is parabhakti. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tata guru kasyaite katita hyartha prakashante mahatmanaha. That parabhakti means rag bhakti, according to Srila Prabhupada. Now, someone may have another interpretation of it, but when we say Yasya Devi Para Bhakti, that means, Para means on the upper platform of Sadhya Bhakti. Sadhya Bhakti means there's sadhana and sadhya. Sadhya means from bhava onward. So who worships God, Deve, Yasya Deve Para Bhakti. That means who's worshipping God on the platform of Ragmaya Bhav Bhakti, and who is similarly worshipping Guru on the platform of Ragmaya Bhava Bhakti. To that person, to that devotee, all the imports of the revealed scriptures are automatically revealed or expanded into the heart. Then you can actually understand what is Nam. Then you can actually understand what is Nam Sankirtan. Because Nam Sankirtan is, as demonstrated practically by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, Nam Sankirtan is the highest expression of Ragmaya Bhakti. Sankirtan is both for the Raganuga Bhakta and for the Ragmaya Bhakta. Ragmaya Premika Bhakta. The highest manifestation of the Sankirtan principle will only be there when one is glorifying Radha and Krishna in the realm of Braja, on the platform of Ragmaya Prema. Not Aishwarya, Gyan, Mahima, Prema. But Ragmaya Prema. Ragmaya Prema means following the footsteps of the Brajbasis. That is real Sankirtan. So don't think that this chanting and dancing will not lead to the desired goal, but we have to understand what is the goal. Therefore, Prayojan Tattva. So that our Sankirtan performances will actually lead us to the desired goal. If there's some difference in the means, in other words, if the bhav is not endeavored to be cultivated in the sadhana, as described in Ragbhartma Chandrika, what you see in your sadhana is what you can prospectively expect to attain in your sadhya. If you don't see it in your sadhana, then you can hardly expect to attain it in your sadhana, in your sadhya. So, green mango and ripe mango. Therefore, Sankirtan, based on the desire to satisfy Brajendanandan Krishna, Radha Krishna, through the satisfaction of Lord Chaitanya, who is none other than Radha Krishna. Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted in the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, and others were dancing around her, in the mood of assisting in her relishment of his Baba, Mahabhav. Like that. So that was Sankirtan as demonstrated practically. Lord Chaitanya came to demonstrate to the people of this world, at least the external purpose was to demonstrate to the people of this world how to be a devotee, what it means to be a devotee practically. Therefore, chanting and dancing in the performance of Sankirtan and spreading Braja Prema through the performance of Sankirtan. Because along with Braja Prema Nam, Braja Prema Krishna Nam means Braja Krishna, Brajendanandan Krishna Nam. So that, along with that Prema Nam, comes when someone is hearing a Madhurya Premika Bhakta chanting the holy name of Brajendanandan Krishna and Radharani, then that substance is inculcated into the heart. That is sadhu sangha. By sadhu sangha, what is the primary effect of sadhu sangha? Shraddha becomes evolved. And Shraddha means Shuddha Bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti Shraddha. And what is Shuddha Bhakti Shraddha? It's that Shraddha which has high estimation of Brajendanandan Krishna. Shuddha Bhakti Shraddha ultimately means Lobhamaya Shuddha Bhakti Shraddha. That attractiveness in hearing about Krishna's Nam, Rup, Guna and Leela from the pure devotees, that attractiveness generates greed in the heart for attainment of that relationship with Radha and Krishna. And that relationship with Lord Gora, who is relishing the moods of the Brajbasis in various ways throughout his Leelas, both here in the material world and in the spiritual world. His Sankirtan Leelas is not that Lord Chaitanya doesn't perform Sankirtan pastimes at Srivas Angam in the spiritual world. There are also nocturnal kirtans in the spiritual world, done with kol and kartal, and gongs, and shanais, and flutes, and various other, instruments which help to exhilarate Lord Chaitanya's pleasure dancing and chanting. So, yes, this chanting and dancing will lead to the desired goal. If you do it. And doing it, there's two types of doing it. One is a semblance of doing it, and the other is really doing it. But even if there's only a semblance, at least do the semblance, because at least that is like going through the motions. Just like when you go to the Murtiwala shop, you want a deity of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So you go to the Murtiwala shop, or you want a deity of Radha and Krishna. Sometimes you go to the Murtiwala shop and you see that there's a bunch of Laddu Gopals kicking around on the floor, like a whole pile of them on the floor. You know, are they Krishna? You know, or are they just a pile of brass murtis that look like Krishna, but are they actually Krishna? You see. But still you go through the motions. You make a nice altar. You make you get some nice paraphernalia for doing the Seva Puja of the deity. You know, you cook a nice feast. You perform the Pran Pratishta. You know, you do Abhishek and all these things. Still, you're going through the motions. That is our sadhana. We must go through the motions. That is sadhana bhakti. But it's Krishna's will, his prerogative, whether or not he agrees to accept our service through that form. We can, chant the Pran Pratishta mantras and touch them with Shalagram or Tulsi Manjaris or however you want to do it. We can even perform supposedly Sankirtan, because in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it describes that in Kali Yuga the only viable method of installing the deity is the performance of Nam Sankirtan. When I read that, I said, Acha, Srila Prabhupada said, about establishing the Krishna Balaram Mandir, that it was our 24-hour kirtan that actually installed the deities. The other things were show just to appease the public. Even you perform Nam Sankirtan, supposedly Nam Sankirtan, depending on what level you're performing it, and whether there's that much, devotion backing it. Whatever. Krishna can agree to like someone or not like someone. You can't force Krishna to like you just because you went through the motions. He may take pity on you because at least you went through the motions. So you can't force Nam to appear in our Sankirtan Jagya just because we go through the motions. But still we have to go through the motions. We should at least make the effort to chant Hare Krishna. Put the sound together. And then it's up to Krishna whether or not he wants to advent and accept that sound vibration as his, you can say, sound body, sound murti, and accept our services. That's Krishna's prerogative. He doesn't have to enter into that sound vibration any more than he has to enter into the brass murti. There's no difference between this, material element and that material element. Sound is also a material element. And the brass, earth, water, fire, air, ether, these things are material elements. They're all Krishna's Shakti, so Krishna can accept and manifest himself fully, through any one of his agents, even though it appears to be a material element. Once he enters into that form, or enters into this sound form, then it's no longer just a mundane form or a mundane sound. It is actually Krishna, non-different from Krishna. So we have to do it, whether we're on the professional platform or even the intermediate platform as a Madhyam Adhikari who's chanting Shuddhanam. At least the upper stages of Madhyam Adhikar, one is chanting Shuddhanam. Or whether you're on the lower stages of Madhyam Adhikar, on the Nishta platform, Madhyamadikar begins with Nishta. So that means Nishtata Bhajan. But still, we're Nishtata Bhajan, non-Bhajan, chanting regularly our 16 rounds, regularly going out for Sankirtan performances. But that doesn't mean that just because we're doing Nishtata motion, going through the motion in a steady way, that we're chanting Shuddhanam. But we must, because our determination to steadily perform Sankirtan, our determination to steadily engage in the worship of this holy name, that determination, just like the example can be given, that Mother Yashoda, here it is Kartik, it's the month of Damodar, so Mother Yashoda bound Lord Krishna, but did she find it so easy? And even she made so much extra endeavor. There was 2 fingers too short. One finger, the shorter finger, was her extra endeavor. But ultimately the longer finger was Krishna's divine dispensation. It was Krishna's special mercy on her. After seeing her struggle, her extra endeavor, he took pity on her and then allowed her to bind him. So in the same way, you cannot force Nam. You cannot, keep him in your grip. Our ironclad fist will not suffice to bind Lord Krishna. Similarly, our every endeavor, we can make all the endeavor we want, but that in of itself is not sufficient. Krishna only is bound by whom he wants to be bound by. That is Krishna. Swarat, independent. That is Krishna Nam. He can choose to like you or not like you. Even if you follow very strictly all the regulative principles of Vaidhi, Sada and Bhakti, he may not particularly like you. That's his prerogative. But he might like someone who may not be following so strictly, but has a very, very sweet heart toward him. He might like him more. Not that we advocate not following strictly, that is not our intention here, but the point is that Krishna can choose to like someone or not like someone according to his own sweet will. And even if he appears, just like in his previous life, Narada in his previous life, he was meditating and he saw Vishnu appear, and then Vishnu disappeared from his heart, and it disturbed him, and he opened his eyes and he saw Vishnu standing before him, and then he disappeared. And then from the sky he says, I'm only going to appear to you this once in this lifetime, just to increase your anxiety for attaining me. Those who are not beyond the influence of the 3 modes of material nature can hardly see me. So Krishna can appear and disappear according to his own sweet will. Another example is Krishna's appearing before the gopis. Before they went, to Ras Mandal for the Rasa Leela, Krishna engaged with the gopis, but then he disappeared. He didn't have to, just because they came running in the dead of night, giving up everything, leaving aside husbands, babies, cows, pots of milk boiling over on the stove, you name it. They gave everything up and went running to Krishna in the dead of night. Does that mean that he has to like them? Does that mean that he is bound to remain in their company? Krishna's highest opulence is his opulence of renunciation, his opulence of independence, aside from his beauty. But his opulence, he attracted them by their beauty, but he also renounced them, even after attracting them by the beauty. So therefore renunciation or his independence is supreme, Swarat. So Krishna Nam doesn't have to, dance on our tongue just because we clap our hands and demand that he come and dance on our tongues. He doesn't have to dance on our tongues just because we're, following strictly regulative principles. That's his choice, whether he wants to come and keep such a person company. And if someone maybe, of course, those who are absorbed in the bhakti based on the greed, there's very little chances for them engaging in sinful activities, because that greed will disallow them to permit anything to come between them and their attainment of their goal of life. That is the main lakshana of rag bhakti. The distinction between rag bhakti and the vaidhi bhakti process is that when greed is aroused based on attraction to the goal of life, then the bhakta doesn't want anything to come between him. So therefore, very easily, raso varjam rasopyasya param drishvad nivartante. He very easily gives up lower attachments because he sees something wonderful in Radha Krishna's leelas. And because the prospect of entering those leelas is there by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, he's made it known to all of us that we can also go there and find out what that's all about. But here's how to do it. Nam Sankirtan. It's the Yuga Dharma. There's only one Yuga Dharma in this age of Kali. There's no other Dharma than Nam Sankirtan. And for most neophytes who are yet to come to the position of chanting Shuddhanam, real Nam Sankirtan means Shuddhanam Sankirtan. But that is Samyak Kirtan. But then, for most of us who are perhaps still on the clearing stage of chanting, then you can hardly expect to be chanting Shuddhanam, because you're not chanting Shuddhanam, you're chanting Namavas, Chaya Namavas, on the clearing stage. So then, for us who are on that level, it's got to be Sangha Kirtan. Sankirtan meaning Sangha Kirtan. And Sangha Kirtan means many devotees. Of the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Kirtan is considered to be the most important. This is described by Jiva Goswami in the Satsandarbhas. Kirtan is the most important. And of the Kirtan, there are different kinds of Kirtan. There's Nam Kirtan, there's Rupa Kirtan, there's Guna Kirtan, there's Leela Kirtan. Of all varieties of Kirtan, Nam Kirtan is considered to be supreme. And then there's different types of Nam Kirtan, because there can be one person loudly chanting the holy name. But then there's Sankirtan, Sangha Kirtan, where there's 2 or more. Krishna says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in the hearts of the yogis. Where am I? I'm where there are 2 or more devotees glorifying my names. That's where you'll find Krishna. If he so desires to appear there. But there's more likelihood that he'll appear in an assembly of devotees who are endeavoring cooperatively to chant, to glorify him, than, where you'll find only one person making his lone, let's say, independent angel endeavor. So that is a necessary element that we have to make the effort, regardless of whatever position, because after all, Chaitya Darpana Marjam, it begins with Namavas. But we have to understand the goal, and we have to do it together, in a, not only two or more, but beyond that, it is mentioned that the most powerful anga of devotional service is Maha Harinam Sankirtan, where there are hundreds and thousands of devotees coming together and chanting and dancing. That is considered to be the supreme limb of devotional service. Not only in Kali Yuga, but in all time and all circumstances for the rest of eternity. Both in the material world and in the spiritual world, the highest aspect of unalloyed devotional service is the group effort to please Krishna through congregational chanting and dancing. That is Rasa Lila. That is Rasa Lila in Krishna Lila, and it is also Rasa Lila in Gaura Lila, in the spiritual world. Don't think this chanting and dancing will not lead to the desired goal. It will, if you do it. Go through the motions, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, every day, and see what happens to you. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Enough for now. Hare Krishna.
I want, can you just say everything's in the holy name? It's like we're getting different devotees to say this. We'll just use this as our slogan.
Everything's in the holy name.
One more time for right in the camera.
No. Huh? Yeah. Everything is in the holy name. But what is the holy name? Who's chanting the holy name? Everything's in Shuddhanam.